Hello, my people. You are welcome to another episode of Unraveling the Knots, the podcast where we explore the deep dynamic world of natural hair, identity, health, and all those in between spaces that make us who we are. I'm your host, Ganiat Salami, project manager by day, beautypreneur by passion, and your favorite solution provider when it comes to natural hair care and conscious living. Today's conversation is one I'm really looking forward to. My guest is a woman who wears many scarves. Asan. She's a researcher, an entrepreneur, an author, and a community builder. She's the founder of Halakha Things, a space that makes Islamic concepts accessible and relatable for women, and also the proud owner of Bold by Red Coffee. She's worked at the NIH for over 7 years, contributing to research on infectious diseases, antibiotic resistance, and even COVID-19. And guess what? This babe is the author of The Invisible Hand, exploring the visible and invisible design in nature. But beyond all those titles, what I really admire about her is how she brings science, spirituality, and community together in a way that feels fresh and relevant. Please welcome to the UTK podcast, Sister Asha Kabirou.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm excited to share anything that's valuable today.
Awesome. I see this very modest lady. They are talking proper. I love it. Anywho, so Asha, we talk a lot about hair on this podcast. And as a woman with her own routine, I would like to know what your natural hair care routine is like. Do you have those go-to products, wash day routines, or are you team keep it simple and moving forward vibe?
I am keep it simple. I'm definitely team keep it simple. My hair routine honestly has been through many phases, but it does depend on the season. So I typically wash, blow dry, throw it in a bun, or stick to like protective styles. But since my last random big chop, I've been relying on braids to keep it in place in those protective styles until it grows back. But yeah, I love olive oil products. ORS, I believe is what it's called.
Yes.
But yeah, that's kind of what I stick to.
Okay, good to know. And how long ago was your last big chop? Because you did say you had a lot of those.
I had a lot of them. I need to stop. My husband's definitely like, please, no more. The last one it's been a year now. So yeah, it's been a year.
Is there a certain reason that drives you to just carry down scissors or have somebody actually cut your hair? Because I don't know. I think for a lot of Black women, well, not all, right? For some Black women, they love to have different interesting short styles. Like our hair is very dynamic in that regard. But what do you think motivates you to keep doing this big chop thing? Is it that your hair grows like a lot and you're like, oh my, I can flex? Which one is it?
It's definitely the latter. My hair grows fast. So alhamdulillah, like it grows fast. But the first time I had a big chop, I think we were all kind of doing that. Switching from the creamy hair to the natural state. So that was the first time I did the big chop. The next time, honestly, I don't know why, but I just wanted to change. And I was like, you know what? I could rock a short style. And I cut it off. The next time I had locks and I said, I'm going to keep them and I'm going to reattach them. So I cut it off because I miss playing in my curls.
Yes.
And then the last time, why? And honestly, it's a lazy reason. I didn't feel like doing my hair. I cut it.
My, you said that your hair grows fast. How long does your hair grow? Like, what's the length that it grows within, like maybe a month or a quarter?
Probably at least an inch or two.
A month. Oh.
A month. Mm-hmm.
Hey, this girl, come and cut soap for me. It grows that fast. I'm pretty sure you will give me some of your genes. How about?
I wish I'm gonna say genetics, because there's times where there's neglect and I'm like, it shouldn't be growing.
Oh, mashallah, mashallah. Me, my hair doesn't grow that fast too. So I am queen of retention regimen. I don't play. Wow. Okay. So that's really nice to know. I know you mentioned the big chop, right? Like you've had the big chop several times. And then later on, you had to go on to cover your hair for religious reasons. What was that transition like, going from showing your hair and then having to cover it? And then even dealing with the grief and stress that came with that change?
You know, going from uncovering or to covering, it was a journey. Yeah, I wore a hijab shortly after I reverted to Islam almost 13 years ago. And then I removed it for no other reason except that I just missed exploring hairstyles. But now I see that removal sort of as a part of my growth.
Yeah.
So when I first started covering, many people had concerns. Even the people I worked with, it felt like they just didn't like that they didn't have that kind of exposure to me anymore. But now the time has gone past, I see it now as just sort of that reluctancy to change, lack of control. You know how some people are. They can't control a situation, so they don't know how to respond. And that's kind of what it was. Whereas those who have more control over that, they were pretty supportive of me when I wore my hijab. But there were a lot of times where I just kind of felt like the outlier, or just I was simply treated different because I was wearing hijab. People didn't think I spoke English, or they thought I was some exotic person from some faraway land. I'm like, what? No. But while those moments weren't necessarily easy for me, it taught me a lot. When going back to hijab, it was perfect at the time when it happened because I had a different appreciation for hijab. And then I realized, no, this is what I make it. I'm Ray, Brianna, Life with Ray. I'm a unicorn. Nobody's like me. I'm not like them.
Yes. Sorry, I keep forgetting. You're not Nigerian.
No.
Sorry, please pardon me. I think
okay.
Please. I keep doing this. I just burst into that zone where I keep speaking Yoruba.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my bestie is, so she does it to me too. And then I'm like, what does it mean? Tell me.
So when I said unicorn Lomo, I was like basically praising you, like you're unique. You're a girl that is a unicorn. They shouldn't try you. You understand? Yes.
Okay, yeah. See, I like that.
But I want to learn more. What are some of those lessons that you learned, right, when you had to deal with the experience of transitioning to wearing the hijab?
Transitioning to hijab, I recently came back from Umrah, and there was a shift. Definitely spiritual enlightenment. And I think I had more confidence. I think that's just kind of what it is. In general, I'm a confident person. And I think I needed to explore ways to feel confident in hijab and also just not worry about what anybody else had to say. And I think some of those lessons were staying true to myself, because I don't think I've ever felt this confident before in hijab. Before, I was just like, oh, this is cute. I can play with this style. I can, now you can't tell me nothing. Like, hey, listen, Me look good, okay? And you know what I love the most? And it's no shade to people who don't cover their hair. No shade at all. But if I step in a room with my full hijab on and I look better, like...
Auntie is always giving them. Give them.
Let me just step on some necks. Is that what they say, right? Stepping on next season.
Oh my goodness, girl. Love it. Love it.
Me hijabis doing better.
We do. I mean, I know that unfortunately, when a lot of people see people wearing the hijab, sadly, there are misconceptions, right? As you said, some people would see you and assume you're probably uneducated. They would assume you don't have a backbone. The assumptions are plenty. But I think the good thing is we have more people, and it's always been the case. We've always had more women that prove the opposite of those stereotypes, right? So it is beautiful to see you, mashallah, beautiful lady, feeling confident, showing that confidence and staying true to yourself. And I think people shouldn't feel ashamed to embrace that path, you know?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that so much.
So, sister, our unicorn sister, you founded Halakha Things to build a supportive community for women, especially in the DMV area. Why is that important to you?
It was important for me to build Halakha Things because people are so judgmental towards women. My parents, they always told me, don't follow people, as my dad said, don't follow people. To just create my own lane. And that's exactly what I did. I created a space for women who wanted to grow spiritually and intellectually without that fear of judgment. As women, when we show up in institutions, places of worship, or wherever we work, it comes with weight. And I wanted this place to feel weightless, free, just simply exist, learn, and grow. And that was important to me because, one, I didn't have this as a new Muslim. And I was trying to navigate very unfamiliar spaces, but also because it's needed for generations to come.
I think that is fundamentally important. And I'm so glad that you've created such a space. It is needed, right? It is. Wow. So you also mentioned that you organize an annual gala for women in the DMV area. Can you tell us more about it? Like, what happens there, how it got started, what the focus is, Like, give us all the tea and how interested women can get involved.
Yeah, so every year we host a gala that's geared towards celebrating the year of our organization. So you can think of it as the Super Bowl of Halakha Things. So, all right, it's the end of the year. What did we do? Let's celebrate. So we gather, we eat, celebrate, we give awards, we have activations, but we also support a cause. So this year, we're supporting Fun Fit Fabulous. It's an organization that pretty much mirrors Halakha Things, but instead is for young girls. So our gala is going to carry it forward in that sense. And it will be carrying it forward to an organization that is very similar to ours, but it's giving to the younger girls who also need the same space that we need, right?
Yeah.
And what's awesome is going to be women across different ages. So just perfect. Literally carrying it forward. We're going to have the HT Littles, as we call it. We're going to have us.
Sorry, what is HT Littles? I am
HT. So Halakha Things. So I've just give my own abbreviations. So we'll have our HT Littles. We'll have, us young bustling women. And then we'll also have those probably old enough to be our moms and even grandmothers, believe it or not. I love that we can cultivate a space that can grow against all of the different age ranges. So we'll all come together, carry it forward just as Islam teaches us. It'll be on December 7th in Maryland. You can be involved by obviously getting a ticket, but we're also still accepting sponsors. or you can easily just spread the word.
Wow, that's really remarkable.
Oh, thank you.
I also wanted to ask you did mention that part of the goal of the gala is to celebrate some of the things that the women within Halakha things achieved. Are there some noteworthy things you'd like to highlight? Maybe one or two with our audience?
Yes. So, and there's so many. I think one of the most inspirational things that's happened is we had a sister who, she was not Muslim. She just wanted to learn about Islam. She joined our private community and literally grew in front of us intellectually and spiritually because she had the drive for sure, but she wanted to be in a space that could cultivate her learning. So she participated, she asked questions, all of those. I think maybe over the course of a few months or so. And she took her Shahada with us.
What is Shahada for people that don't know?
Oh, yes. So it's a declaration of faith. So she became a Muslim and she invited us to come celebrate with her. She invited us to witness it, first of all. I can't tell you how powerful that was. I've seen other people, take that declaration of faith, and every time it just feels amazing to see, because I did that too.
Mm-hmm.
But for a woman to say, hey, I want to learn, I'd like to join your space so I can be around women who also are on the same bandwidth,
Yes.
And we all got to witness her. Oh my gosh. Like, when I say we were crying in that mosque, we were crying. Okay. And then we went to eat after. Like, true community. We didn't know that was going to happen. We said this is a space for women, but you just don't know who's going to come. And that, mind blowing.
Wow, that's just beautiful. That's truly remarkable. I'm trying to remember. I know there was a Halakha things event that I attended about hair. It was, I'm trying to remember, was it like a workshop?
Yes.
To be honest, I got overwhelmed because there were so many people speaking, so I just left the call. Yeah. So I think everybody has different personalities. When I'm hearing people going back and forth a lot, I just my mind is like, I need a break. But I thought that was really beautiful. I thought it was nice to have a place where people could actually understand the struggles of taking care of your hair, how you could approach it, and also consider like tips that are very helpful. And it was a great open dialogue. So I guess, have you had more of these? Have you had these kind of events talking about hair or beauty or skin? And can you share more about that?
Yes. So our first hijabi hair workshop was amazing. And we're bringing it back. So November 9th, we will have it again. It resonated so much because as a Black woman who covers, even if you don't, navigating, taking care of your hair, period, can sometimes be a challenge.
Yeah.
So women in the group said they wanted to talk more about that. That's another thing that we do. We make sure we reach out to the community to say, what are your needs? So this stemmed from someone voicing that they wanted to talk more about hijab and hair. They want to wear hijab, but they feel that it's going to break their hair off or whatever the case is. I think it's just being able to navigate it. I had the same struggles when I first became a hijabi. I had natural hair and I didn't know how to have the flat look. There's all these things that we worry about. Oh, I'm sitting up looking crazy. I didn't know how to navigate that. So that was important for us. And that will be a staple every year, inshallah. We want to make sure that we have a space for women to learn about their hair, ways to style it, ways to protect it, and all of those things. So other workshops that we've had similar is about what's called ghusl. So we had a workshop last year called ghusl, which is a spiritual cleanse that women partake in either after their menses or after giving birth or after intercourse. Now, this one was also interesting because women learned about things they didn't know they could do or different kinds of ghusl, but also our hair. How does that play a role? So it was nice to have that in the same year. So we talked about ghusls in the summer, and then fall came around. We learned about our hair and we tied back in the ghusl again. So what do you do with ghusl? How can you? And it was just, oh man, it was just beautiful. And for those who are Muslim, who were in the community, they also had an opportunity to learn about that too. It's perfect for like women who are hairdressers, for an example. Okay, well, now I know how to tackle this or how to care for this person's hair because this is something they have to do monthly, or if she probably just got married, she might be doing ghusl every night or so. So there's ways to navigate that. Yeah.
I admire the fact that you are basically serving as a role model to help address important issues that is easy for people to just ignore. You know, I know that when it comes to hair, it's seen as something frivolous, but it actually has a great impact on our esteem and our person. So for you to actually take that step to say, these are my struggles, how can we basically empower women? That is beautiful. And then also asking people what they need. Girl, inspiration. Yeah. So then I wanted to ask, what would you say you have learned from building communities, running these important workshops, and connecting with women over the years? What would you say you've learned? And are there any standout moments or insight that have stayed with you?
Flexibility is key. That's something I've learned. When building community, you have to listen to them and shape the space with your vision and your skills based on their needs. Okay, now sometimes that looks like curating from scratch or pulling from the other resources to make sure it happens the way it needs to. For an example, with the hair workshop, I don't know everything about hair, but I do know women who are amplifying their voices in that space. So I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, this is a need in our community. Help us. Same thing with the financial workshop we had earlier in the year. There's a brother that we know, and he wasn't Muslim, but he took the time to learn more about what we can or can't do in Islam and how that applies to us as women. When I say that was so unique, because you have a spectrum of women in our community, right? You have some are Muslim, some are not Muslim. And then even for those who are Muslim, who have their money, but let's say they're not splitting 50-50, everybody's relationship is different.
Exactly.
But he gave us tangible ways to make the money that we have work for us. Okay, you have your whole check, sis, right? So how are you making that work for you? I mean, it's just alhamdulillah. It was just awesome. But yeah, so flexibility is the key. Move with purpose. Move with purpose. When you're building a community, you have to be flexible, and you can't forget who you're building it for. Start with your creator, and you can't fail because he's in control of it all.
Well, I feel like those are really beautiful lessons to learn, and they're very crucial for developing any kind of organizations or community. So, okay. From your view, what do women need most right now? Especially women of faith, women balancing careers, identity, and everything life throws at them.
This is an amazing question. And I thought long and hard about it, right? Right now, women need each other.
Mm.
We are naturally nurturers, and we have a superpower that men don't have. You think about it. Women have something special about building together. We become invincible. We learn boundaries, right?
Yes, we're not good with those, sadly.
Sometimes, right?
Yes. My gosh.
But listen, yeah, sometimes it gets a little crazy, but we also learn how to excel and to propel one another. I feel like we quite literally run the world. So what I would say that we need the most right now is each other. That means holding each other accountable, being supportive, practicing honesty, not gatekeeping, and also moving with grace. We are ladies.
Mm. See wisdom, see wisdom, see wisdom, see wisdom. Oh my God. I love the fact that you said, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a policewoman, but I love the fact that you said holding each other accountable. I feel like at times for women, there's this feeling of it's okay to just pat people on the back and let them just move on. And I think we do each other a disservice when we're not honest with each other. I'm not saying be rude. You don't have to be rude, right? You can be supportive. And I feel like that's really beautiful to have that balance of being caring, being understanding, being a listening ears, and sometimes just calling us out on our BS too. It's important. It's not being mean, it's being supportive too.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want a yes man or a yes woman around me. If there's too many people around me without different ideas, or, and it's not to say just cheering me along, but if they're not giving me any feedback or constructive criticism, I question. I'm like, okay, no, we all got to grow here. I'm not doing everything right. I got to switch something up. But yeah, I don't want any yes women around me.
Who too much yes help? Okay. So I want us to dive a bit deeper. You have such a strong science background in biology, biotechnology, and biodefense. As in the bio expertise plenty. Any other bio expertise?
Epidemiology, yeah, microbiology.
It is well. So, but you also bridge all this with spirituality in your book, The Invisible Hand. How do you personally bring those two worlds together?
My book, The Invisible Hand, was my first step into bridging the gaps between science and spirituality. And I continued that with my second book called The Fasting Roast, Healing One Sip at a Time. So this book is not only an aesthetically pleasing coffee table book, but it's the perfect way to answer this question. So my second book, it explores my personal journey of transformation through intentional coffee consumption and also intermittent fasting. So I was diagnosed with two conditions after having my fifth child, one affecting my thyroid and one affecting my liver. So in this book, I talk about the prescription of fasting in Islam and how it's a biological reset. So I also discuss how putting God first and how healing happens spiritually and physically. So now before you say, how in the world? There are studies that show how caffeine consumption as well as fasting can be healing. So if we look at the combined effects of coffee and fasting, it does a few things. One, it enhances what's called fat metabolism, and then it boosts what's called autophagy. So the combined effects of fat metabolism, where fat is being broken down into energy, and autophagy, where it's a cellular process that recycles and degrades cellular components, and it aids in maintaining healthy cells and also like the intracellular balance. It's basically creating this synergistic effect, and it improves liver health and any other chronic conditions. Now, I dive a lot deeper into this book, so you can read more about it. But personally, I quite literally healed myself, for lack of better words, with science and spirituality, talking to God, and also physically doing something that helps. Fasting, it helps a lot. You have what's called these free floating cells. When you get past a certain amount of time of fasting, your body taps into it.
Mm-hmm.
So it like grab those cells, come around and say, okay, what needs to be fixed here? And it goes to that area. Something's going on in your brain, it goes there. Something's happening in your liver, it goes there, and it repairs. So our bodies sort of do this a little bit at night when we go to sleep because we're fasting for however many hours. But when you expand it across a long period of time, such as Ramadan or those who do intermittent fasting across a couple of days a week, it's a huge boost. So yeah.
Wow, that is great to know, honestly. My goodness. I think a lot of times when we consider different health issues, the first reaction is, let me just go with medicine and whatnot. And sometimes the most obvious and less, should I say, consequential medicine is just taking little measures, right? Taking things that are good for you, like natural options like caffeine, right? Or basically fasting. And of course, everybody, we're not telling you to just do what we're saying. Of course, speak with your doctor, get like consult with a physician, right? But it's refreshing to hear this, like it is possible to heal yourself at times just understanding your body. And yeah, this book, what's the title again? Please repeat.
The Fasting Roast, Healing One Sip at a Time.
Yes, all of you go and get the book. From your perspective, do you think faith and science are saying the same thing in different languages, or do they serve different purposes?
Faith and science often say the same thing, but they may serve different purposes depending on who you ask. Science, as we know, is backed by evidence and facts, where faith is a trust without necessarily having all the facts or all the evidence. So sometimes those things can collide when they're together. But without going through this like long historical lecture, because I'm not a huge fan of history, but there were times when science and spirituality were married, and then there was a shift. If we look at the Enlightenment period, which is around like 17th and 18th centuries, you can really see the dense distancing of science from religious authority. So you had scientists like Isaac Newton and Voltaire that emphasized reason, skepticism, and scientific inquiry over religious dogma. And that just continued on and on. So there were many moments in history where this separation of science and faith happened. But I think it's important to note that the separation wasn't just this like complete break. Many scientists, though, and thinkers have sought ways to reconcile their religious belief with scientific discoveries. And that's sort of what I'm doing, but on a smaller scale, but I think it's also in a beautiful way.
I completely agree. I do. And it's great to actually see some scientists taking that approach. Even when you hear from certain scientists that are not necessarily religious people, I think there's that recognition that we don't know it all. We can't even explain some things off, as much as there's this perception that science is everything. And if you understand or pursue science, then you're like, that should be the goal. But the good thing is that there's that realization that no, even with science, you still don't know it all.
That's true.
Okay. Sounds good. This question, I wanted to understand What are some key lessons you've learned about hair from a scientific and religious perspective?
So there are benefits that span from scientific to religious reasons in relation to hair. I would say some that we probably haven't thought about. So, for an example, many religious practices call women to cover their hair, right? If you think about it, right, there's protection from environmental factors outside of the male gaze, because that's where everybody goes to. Well, it's for the men. There's other ways to be protected, friends. UV protection, for an example, and also protection from pollution. You can also look at hygiene. That aspect with proper covering, you'll have less excessive oil production, and then also there's protection of the hair follicles itself. Something else I thought about was how this aligns with certain religious significance in connection to cleanliness and just discipline. That just easily closes the gap between science and spirituality. If you think about it, right? You got clean hair.
Yes.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Oh my, that's such an important connection, right? Okay. No. I was like, I'm going to test this auntie out to answer my question. And yes, I agree with your responses. I feel like they're very, very insightful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm curious. You're also the founder of Bold by Ray Coffee. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yes, you are.
By the way, I love that name. Can you tell us what inspired you to step into the coffee space? Like, why coffee? What does coffee mean to you personally?
I've always had a love for coffee, and my peers will probably tell you that they knew I was going to be in the coffee industry before I did. I simply just love to consume it and the experience of having it. But coffee became healing for me, and it was something that was also passed from my late mother. She was also a crazy coffee addict. But I also did a few tours of coffee shops here in the DMV and then across a few other states in the US. And I realized that my path into coffee, it wasn't necessarily a coincidence, and that it was probably more of a deeper calling. So I'm here to shake up the place and be unapologetically bold in this industry.
Wow. You are giving vibes of, motivation right now. I love. On a slightly different note, as a scientist with extensive research experience, I mean, Auntie, you're like bio, all sorts of bio. Are there findings on the effect of coffee on hair?
Yes, I was excited about this question because I can guarantee you most people don't think about this. So coffee, both consumed internally and applied topically, can have interesting effects on the hair. Okay, so caffeine, often included in some hair products, is known to stimulate hair follicles, and it also promotes hair growth by increasing the blood flow in the scalp, which is awesome. It also helps, in some cases, not all, block the hormone DHT, which is linked to hair thinning and a pattern of baldness. There's also antioxidants found in coffee that can help protect you from damage caused by, again, UV rays, pollution, that kind of thing. But we got to keep in mind, right? There's having that moderate consumption of coffee can offer those benefits. But also, if you take in too much coffee, if you're drinking a whole lot, now I ain't gonna tell y'all how much I drink, so you won't judge me. But it can lead to dehydration, right? So we have to keep that in mind. So that can also result in dry or brittle hair. So too much coffee, you're gonna mess with nutrient absorption as well. So that's iron. We need that for hair, right?
Yes.
So drink in moderation. And enjoy it as a part of your balanced diet. Stay hydrated. That can still continue to nourish your hair with the right ingredients. So, yeah.
Thank you for the amazing, scientifically founded tips. We love it. Now, I really want to know, because you're juggling research, writing, community building, and entrepreneurship. Like, these are so many, I'm not going to use that word hats. These are so many scarves, you know? How do you manage to balance it all without burning out?
I get this question a lot, and my honest answer is God. He has given me this capacity that seems to be limitless, but trust me, it does have limits. But I do take my drive to another level. I think about bodybuilders. They stretch their muscles little by little and they become stronger. So I believe that my capacity has been able to increase because of a lot of the prior work that I've done and the systems that I've put in place to allow me to balance it all. So at work, in the house, with friends, I have a lot of systems. I have a lot of automations. I do routine check-ins, but also my support system. Huge shout out to my support system. I remember as a young adult, I don't want to say young and dumb, but young and inexperienced.
Six positive twins.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't really understand how important having the support system was and how to balance relying on them or not overusing. Just that balance of it's okay to ask for help and also when to just take care of it. So huge shout out to my support system. But yeah, once I've mastered something and it becomes routine like breathing, you can hang it up. I move on to the next thing and it becomes like a well-oiled machine. And then I just take that capacity and I move. Like, without the help of God and the ability to see something and say, I can do it, I don't know where I would be.
Yeah, that's just wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. So relying on God, learning how to ask for help and finding ways to automate things. And I guess building that resilience, right? Yeah. Okay. Lastly, Madam Asha, before we wrap up, what would you like women listening today to remember about themselves? And it doesn't even have to be just women's self, especially when it comes to chasing their dreams, caring for themselves, and building community.
You are the unicorn and nobody is like you. That's your superpower. And that sets you apart from everybody else in the room. So even if you sit here and say you're not where you want to be, that's okay. You take those steps towards it and start with God first. If you look at an inventor in any industry, whether it's a device, a recipe, name it, they're able to tell you the ins and outs of their invention because they created it, right? Yeah. So for us, it's a lesson to consult with the one who created us because they know what's best for you.
Thank you for that inspirational advice. Asha, I appreciate you being with us today, honestly. This conversation reminds us that life is never one-dimensional. We can be people of science, people of faith, coffee lovers, tea lovers, and community builders, professionals and nurturers. Thank you again, Asha, for sharing your light with us. For everyone listening and wanting to connect more with you, your work, your community, the workshop, or your coffee, how do they reach out to you?
Yes, so you can follow me on all social media platforms, Life with Ray, that's RAI, as well as on my website, www.ashakabirou.com, and Kabirou is Kabirou. And there you can find out all of my upcoming events with my nonprofit as well as my coffee.
Thank you so much, Asha. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with a friend, a sister, or anyone who needs to hear it. You can also send us a message at utkinhair@gmail.com. And reach out to us on Instagram at UTK Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay connected and stay true to yourself. See you in the next episode of Unraveling the Knots. Bye.